Okay, so in this video we're looking at factorising harder quadratics again, but this time where you've got at least one negative in the quadratic. So you can see here you've got a negative term which is in the middle part. So in the first my turn, your turn, you're going to be considering where you've got a negative in the middle part. The second my turn, your turn, you're going to be seeing where you've got a negative on the last part of the quadratic. Now the process for doing this is the same as before. It's just being able to kind of be confident with our negative numbers. Now let's look at the first my turn before you can try the your turn. So again, same process with numbers that multiply to make 3 times your last number. So you're doing 3, you're timesing it by 10, which is going to give you 30. And numbers that add to give you the middle part of the quadratic, which is going to be negative 17. So minus 17. So the same process. It's just being really careful with your numbers here. Now, if you weren't sure here, you could choose some numbers. You might go and say, let's go and use 10 and 3, for example, because 10 times 3 is 30, but 10 add 3 is 13. I'm not even close to being minus 17. Now, it comes with just a bit of experience, but your numbers here are going to be minus 15 and negative 2. And this is probably the trickiest variation because you get a double negative when your negative sign is hit. And let's just check it. If we go and do negative 15 and we times it by negative 2, we get positive 30. So minus 15 and we timesing it by minus 2. Well, 15 times 2 gives you 30, and you're timesing two negatives, you get a positive answer. And similarly, if you go and do minus 15 and you add minus 2, that means you're doing 15. Really, same thing as doing take away 2. Sorry, minus 15, take away minus 2 gives you minus 17. Because, right, number line, you're starting at minus 15. If you're taking away 2, you're going back by 1, 2 to minus 17. So these are your numbers, and you've got to make sure that these numbers are correct. Otherwise, it's not going to work out too well. So you've got to be really careful with your signs. Okay, if you tried that, for example, okay, 15 times minus 2, minus 30, not quite. You've just got to be really confident with your signs. That's really important. But now the same process as before. You go and draw your grid, and then you go and put in your numbers into that grid. So the first term, 3x squared, goes in your top left. The last term is the 10, goes in the bottom right. And then your numbers here, they can go anywhere within the grid. So let's go and put the minus 15, and you've got to go put an x on the end of it here, and then minus 2x, let's go and stick it down here. Now, we've got to go and factorise this grid, and just to show us again, right, what's in the grid is what you've got in the quadratic. You've got 3x squared, which is up there. You've got minus 15x, minus 2x is minus 17x, and you've got a 10, and you've got a 10 up there that you can all see. Okay, good. I'm going to go and factorise it this way, because if I go and factorise it this way, to factorise 3 and a 2 is more tricky. There's not a factor of 3 and 2 other than 1. So let's look at this row. So we can take out a 3, because 3 goes into 3 and minus 15, and we can go and take out an x from there. Now 3x times what gives you 3x squared? It's going to be x going up here, and 3x times what gives you minus 15x, or 3 times negative 5 gives you minus 15, and you've got a 3x times minus 5 gives you minus 15x, so that's perfect. Now you've got x times what gives you minus 2x, it should be minus 2. Minus 2 times x is negative 2x, and then hopefully it should work out nicely. Minus 2 times minus 5, two negatives gives you a positive 10. So you've got your two brackets, okay, and they can go in any order, and they're going to be 3x minus 2, and you've got x take away 5, and you've got to make sure you include the signs there. That's very important, but the brackets can go either way around. It doesn't matter, and that is your answer. Okay, so that is the first one, and let's highlight it this way. Now the your turn, you can pause the video and give this one here a go. So again, numbers that multiply to make 2, and you've got to times it by the last term, 15, which is going to give you, sorry, I don't know why it keeps happening, which is going to give you 30, and numbers that add to give you negative 13. There we go. So these numbers are going to be minus 10 and minus 3. And again, just make sure you check this part. It's really important. If we go and do negative 10 and we times it by negative 3, okay, 10 times 3 is 30. Two negatives gives you the positive. Now if we go and add minus 10, add minus 3, that just means you're doing minus 10 and you're taking away 3, which does give you minus 30, which is perfect. So now you go straight to your grid. Same thing as before, and you can go and put in your numbers. So you've got 2x squared up here, you've got a positive 15 down here, and the minus 10, minus 3, they can go anywhere within the grid. So minus 10x and then minus 3x can go down here. Now again, you've got to go and factorise this, and if you go and factorise it this way, where you've got a 2 and a minus 3, there's not really a good factor we can take out of there, but this way we can take out a 2, because 2 goes into 2, and it goes into minus 10. So let's go and factorize out a 2 and also take out an x. Now 2x times what gives you 2x squared? We can go and put an x up here, and 2x times what gives you minus 10x. It's going to be negative 5. 2 times minus 5 gives you minus 10, and you've got the x there. X times what gives you minus 3x? It's going to be negative 3, and then hopefully negative 3 times negative 5 gives you positive 15, which is correct. So your two brackets are going to be what's in the grid, and they can go in either order. I'm going to go for x take away 5, and then down here 2x take away 3. And that is your answer. And one thing that I forgot to mention, is that you can always check your answer by doing the opposite of factorizing, which is to expand out the brackets. Okay, so we can check it. If you were to go and do x times 2x and x times negative 3, negative 5 by 2x and negative 5 by negative 3, well, x times 2x gives you 2x squared. X by negative 3 gives you minus 3x. Minus 5 by 2x gives you minus 10x. And then you've got the negative 5 by negative 3 gives you positive 15. And of course, negative 3x take away 10x just gives you minus 13x. And you can see you've got the same thing as what you initially started out with. Okay? So that's really good. But the part in yellow is your answer. Now, we've got another my turn, your turn. Very similar to previously, but just this time, the negative part is on the end of the quadratic. It's the same process though, okay? So what I will do is I'll put them both on the screen. I will go through the my turn, and then you can try the your turn, or you can just try them both now if you're feeling confident. But again, the process is the same. So your numbers that multiply to give you 7 by negative 3, if you times them together, which is going to give you minus 21, and numbers that add to give you the middle part, which is positive 20. So 20 goes there. Now, what are your numbers going to be here? This one's a little bit more awkward. It's actually going to be 21 and negative 1. And let's just double check that, because this is really important. If we go and do 21 and we times it by negative 1, you get minus 21. And if you go and do 21, add minus 1, which just really means 21, take away 1, it gives you 20. So you can see you get the numbers that you want, which is really, really important. Okay? And now we can just go forwards and put it into our grid. And again, your first term, 7x squared, goes up here. The negative 3 goes in the bottom right, and then you've got your numbers here. You can put anywhere, and it's going to be 21x, and then minus 1x, or just negative x. They mean the same thing. Okay, and again, this should give you the quadratic that you've got up here. Let's just double check that. 7x squared, good. 21x take away 1x is 20x, and you've got the minus 3. So that is perfect. And again, if you go and factorize this way, it's going to be tricky because you've got a 7 and a 1. It's just a bit awkward. So let's go and factorize this way, because you can go and take out a 7 out of both of those. And you can take out an x. And then 7x times x gives you 7x squared. 7x times by 3 gives you 21x. And then x times by negative 1 gives you negative x. And then hopefully, negative 1 times 3 gives you negative 3. So that is perfect. And then your two brackets are going to just simply be, in any order, x, and it's a positive 3, so x plus 3, and then you've got 7x take away 1, that can go down here. And that is your answer. And again, if you want to, you can expand your answer back out to double check it. Now to your turn, same process again, and let's go through it. So numbers that multiply to give you 3 times minus 3, which is going to be negative 9, and numbers that add to give you your middle term, which is a positive 8, so 8 can go in there. And this one, again, a little bit awkward, but it's going to be 9, and it's going to be negative 1. And let's just double check that. It's really, really important. If we go and do 9, we times it by negative 1, you get negative 9, which is good. And if you go and do 9, add minus 1, which really just means 9, take away 1, it gives you 8, which is also perfect. So that's good. Now we can go and put this into our grid. Okay, so let's go and put that into our grid up here. So you've got the first part, which is 3x squared. You've got the last part, which is negative 3. And your two numbers are 9, so 9x, and negative 1, and negative x, and they can go anywhere within the grid. Now, again, it's going to be better to go and factorize this way, because you can go and take out a 3 out of both of those numbers. So we can take out an x as well. And 3x times x gives you 3x squared. 3x times by 3 gives you 9x. X by negative 1 gives you minus x. And negative 1 by 3 does give you minus 3. So perfect. That is going to be correct. And your two brackets in any order, let's just go for 3x take away 1, first of all. And you've got x, and it's a 3. So x plus 3 is your answer. And that is it on this video on factorising harder quadratics where you've got one negative in the quadratic. Thank you.